Welcome back to the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. I'm Ernest, and got my suit here with me. I'm gonna have to put that on when I get up to this job. But we've got to head up here to the town just north of us, and we're gonna do a diagnosis. So apparently there's a check engine light that's come on. It's a vehicle I've worked on recently. It's probably unrelated, and a little bit of an oil leak. So they want me to identify the cause of the leak and just see what that check engine light's all about. So we're gonna head up there. We'll be using my nice new launch scan tool, so we'll check that out when we get up there and see if we can figure out why the check engine light's on. Here we go. All right, well, let me grab a screwdriver. Here we are with the van. I replaced the radiator in this recently, and it's leaking some, what looks like automatic transmission fluid. And looks like it might be coming out of that fitting. That's my broken screwdriver. Turn that. That's interesting. Smells like stiff fluid or grease. Anyway, so on this fitting on the new radiator we installed, it's definitely leaking out of there. So now it's a question of, is that fitting bad? I'm going to tighten it down, and you know, if it's not the fitting, is it the old tube there for that hose that's leaking itself? We'll find out here in just a moment. Okay, there's the leakiness there. So let's check and make sure that's seated all the way, and then maybe tighten it down a little bit in case that fitting itself is loose, but it's definitely where it's leaking from. All right, now when I installed this, I did make sure that the fittings were tight. I'll double check them, but I just want to make sure everything's seated up here like it's supposed to be. It's pulled out a little bit. Tighten this. Okay, I mean, you don't want to over tighten these, and that feels plenty tight there. I'll just give it a little bit more just in case. Everything's together how it's supposed to be here, so hopefully that holds. If not, it may be just a seal on the actual line itself here, but I don't think those have seals. We'll find out. Okay. All right, well, I've got that tightened down. There's no O-ring seal in there. It just seats up. So I've got that pushed in all the way, tightened up a little bit. Hopefully that stops. I'm not super optimistic, but it looks like it's definitely coming from that fitting. So we'll probably replace the fitting before we replace the line if we have to come back and look at this again in the future. So we're just at this point going to wait and see if it leaks again. All right. Here we go. That's going to be annoying. Yeah, so if you're interested in the scan tool, it does bidirectional stuff. Super nice. This little launch scan tool here. This is the X431, and I really like it. I've been using it for everything. So yeah, everybody always asks about my tools. There's a link in the description for this, and we're going to see if we can diagnose this real quick. It's a check engine light, so we're just going to check everything here. Okay, so we've got a catalyst system low efficiency here. Let's look at the freeze frame data from when that code was set. And then we'll look at some live data on those O2 sensors and everything as they warm up. We'll graph some of those. Okay, so the code failed twice, but it only failed twice in 9,300 miles. yeah, so let's see. Nothing too crazy there. It looks like it was idling when it was set. So it could have just been a weird circumstance to where that, you know, it was real cold out or real warm and the fuel trims weren't adjusted right and set off that code. So I don't see anything there that looks like, you know, something catastrophic, but let's go ahead and do some data stuff on this. This is a lot of information on just the O2 stuff, so let's just select everything. No, you know what? Let's unselect everything. What we're mostly going to look at here is the oxygen sensor. They should switch, alternate. If you start having one that's an O2 sensor issue, it'll, you know, it may not warm up by itself. It may get a bad signal, and we can compare those to fuel trims. That'll give us an idea on whether or not this is working well. All right, it's nice to start this when it's cold. The engine hasn't been run all day, so we can watch those O2 sensors warm up as we do this. And that's why it's good to have a nice scan tool, because back in the day I could not do this kind of stuff. So we can actually look at the graph here. All right, here we go. Okay, that's what you'd expect to see out of the fuel trim. We want to make sure that those O2 sensors are responding to that. So let's go back and just select those. And I think I may have actually just figured out the problem. There's no check engine light on here. There's a service engine soon light, but it looks like that code that's tripped, because it was a trip for 9,000 miles, it looks like that's just a stored code on there. I don't think that code is setting off this computer at all. So, wow, look at that mileage. This is historic. Look at that mileage. This couldn't have been more perfect. 99999. Man, what are the chances? I gotta let them know so they can take a picture of it at 100,000 or something. This is pretty low miles for this thing. Anyways, let's look at the graph here real quick. Yeah, that's real quick responding. I could set some parameters on this so we can see that a little bit better. And I don't know if you can overlay on these things. I'll have to figure that out. I'll be using this one a lot more, but it all looks like it's responding just right. It's coming down a bit since it's warming up here. Yeah, this looks fine. There's no check engine light on. That's a service engine light, so it's just letting them know they need an oil change and not, you know, it's not a check engine light. I'll double check with them and make sure that it's not the check engine light, you know, that it's just not off right now for whatever reason. But that's just a stored code on there for, you know, at once upon a time, 9,000 miles ago, it did have a low system inefficiency, but right now everything's working just fine, and that mileage is cool. So anyways, that's a job well done. That's a diagnosis well done. There's nothing wrong here. We did get that. Look, I'm assuming it's the fitting because the line wasn't leaking before, and now it's leaking. So it's most likely just the fitting. Should be a super simple fix. I'll get a new fitting if it's still leaking, and we'll put it on there. I did tighten it up just a quarter of a turn, but not even a quarter, probably an eighth of a turn, but probably not the issue. It's probably just a bad surface. You know, it's kind of a pressure fitting in there. So anyways, we'll see.